All right, so I want to try to model a conference and what this is going to look like. There's a couple other videos that, if you have questions, you might want to watch. One is the directions that I shared with the students, and then I shared with you on, how do you prepare for a student-led conference. So there's that. Of course, if you have follow-on questions, like how do I check their grades, there's videos for that. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, which I'm going to send out in another separate video, kind of trying to give you the highlights of, hey, these are some common questions. Here's some of what I can, manage to be the best answers. So your student has been preparing to hold a conference with you. We've been asked by administration to continue the student-led conference process, which is something that we've always done at Bristow. And of course, it's a little different because I know that a lot of you, most of you, are probably conferencing with your student on a daily basis. But the whole concept is unchanged. And so a student-led conference is supposed to be just a chance where, think of like if I just gave you one learning target, it's just a chance for you and your student to talk about how your student sees themselves, how you see them, how stuff's going. Because the thing I tell kids is that everybody has things they're really good at, and everybody has at least a couple things that they struggle with. So if I were your student, what I would do, right, I'm going to pretend to be Scott C. conferencing with you, my parent. What would I do? Well, first I would find my student-led conference slides, which are in advisory, and they're cleverly titled Student Conference Slides Are Here. So your student has a copy of their own that they can go through and fill out. So I'm going to hit present, and then I'm going to pretend that you are my wonderful family that has taken your time to join me in this student-led conference presentation where I'm going to talk about myself. So welcome, wonderful family members. Thank you for participating in my student-led conference. This conference is my chance to share about what I learned, where I succeeded, and where I can improve. In short, it's about me. So, academic classes, how am I doing? So, in language arts, I have Mr. Coben. You know that. My current grade is an 89%, and I checked that on the 15th. And 89% is a B plus, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. And I'm excited to be getting letter grades. And so, why am I doing well? Well, I earned this grade because I show up to Zoom on time and always hang on and ask questions. I really feel like I ask a lot of questions, and it really helps me out, and I'm not scared to ask questions. And I earned this grade by completing all my work and retaking my missed vocabulary on setting. So I did complete everything, and I missed one, and I went back and redid it. And so that's why I'm feeling pretty successful. Then they might ask you, do you have any questions about language arts or anything? And they have work samples that they can share with you. Again, I know that you might have been peeking over their shoulder and seeing all this stuff. If you've already seen all their work and there's nothing they're super excited about sharing with you, that's okay. But I've given them some ideas. So one thing I could do would be like, well, okay, what I want to do is I want to show you Edpuzzle. So I'm going to stop my presentation here for just a second, and then I'm going to take you to edpuzzle.com because Mr. Coben, this is something that he uses to teach us, where he goes through and he makes these videos, kind of like if we were in class. Right now, of course, their login would be different, but we're all playing make-believe right now. But they'd log in, and so he makes these videos, and it's like a lesson from class, and then there's questions with the video, and remember that one that we saw, and so they would show you their classes, right? And they might pick one and show you and say, so one that I wanted to show you is this one that we did in advisory or whatever. But the whole concept is that they're just showing you what they did. Then, of course, we'll go back and keep moving. Social studies. Now, some students don't have social studies, so if they don't, they would delete this slide. But again, pretending that I'm your student. So I also have Mr. Coben for social studies, and unfortunately, I'm getting a 47% F. And I know that you know that because you checked my grades and we talked about it. And I know that you told me to go back and email them and do some of the missing work, but I didn't do that. And so now I have to be honest with you and tell you that I didn't do that. And so why did I get an F, right? When I was a B student in language arts, I earned this question because I don't ask questions on Zoom in this class, and I don't go to Zoom help at 1:30. I didn't complete my work during the school day. When you're away at work and I'm here by myself. I kind of pretend like I do my work. And when you say, did you do it? I say that I did, but I know that I didn't finish it all. And so that's why I'm not getting a good grade right now. Now, this might be a point where you pause and have a longer conversation. I'll tell you that's kind of unusual for a student to have a B plus and an F. Normally, these patterns repeat themselves, and the students who have successful habits you'll see are very similar in all these classes. And the students who have struggles, they're typically the same struggles in all these classes, which is good because it means the solutions are typically the same solutions. So again, they would share some work samples from social studies. Oh, Dad, let me show you Google Maps. Aunt, so and so, let me show you what we did in GeoGuessr. Let me show you this ed puzzle. Oh, I'd love to show you that. So they're going to show you some kind of work. Same thing for math, right? Where they sit here and say, oh, well, I have Miss Hans or I have Mrs. Mendoza, and this is my grade. And the whole concept of these is just to talk about what's the grade and connect that to the behavior and the habit that earn the grade. Okay, what I tell students is if they're getting an A, it's because they're doing something awesome, right? And if they're getting an F, it's because they have areas they need to improve on, right? They're not getting an A because Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so is a great teacher. They're not getting an F because Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so is an awful teacher, right? They're succeeding because what they're doing, or they're failing because of what they're not doing. So it's the same process, same deal with science. If they don't have it, it should be deleted. They won't share it with you. PE, elective. And then you're going to get to this point where it's the progress report. And so I'd say, okay, Mom, not super happy with my social studies grade. I know that you're disappointed in me, and I know that I didn't tell you the truth about finishing these things. I know it works because I have a good grade in language arts, and I know that I ask questions and I do my work and I like it and it's fun. And I don't like social studies, but yeah, now I know that even though I don't like it, I have to do this. And it's the whole concept is to just have a conversation, kind of summarizing what did you talk about. And again, this is not something where don't feel the need to write 4 paragraphs. Just talk to each other. Try to teach your student to take ownership of what they're doing and connect. Oh yeah, when I ask questions, I do well. And when I tell you I do the work, but I don't do the work, then I don't do well. Try to just connect those things. All right, and then they're going to have a self-evaluation section. So with this, what I told the students is to just be honest. That's the only thing that matters. So these are our bear's expectations. So I would say, okay, Mom, these are the things I kind of see myself as. So as an active listener, I give myself a 3 because I feel like it's something that I'm pretty good at, and where that comes from is actually up here, right? And the way I explain this rubric to kids is 1 is this is a serious problem. 2, it's a problem, but I'm working on it. 3 is I'm pretty good at it, but I'm not perfect. And 4 is I'm nailing it. This is what I'm good at. So an active listener, they might say, yeah, I listen pretty much, but sometimes when we're on Zoom, I'm not really thinking about what the teacher's saying. Or sometimes when I watch an ed puzzle, I kind of space out and I have to rewatch it. Right. And so the ones you definitely want to talk about, anything that you see as a 1, make sure you have a good conversation, right? I start work and stay on task to complete homework without being reminded or prompted. And so a parent might say, well, why'd you give yourself a 1? Well, when we're talking about social studies, I say that I do the work. And when the teacher asks me, I say that I do the work. But in reality, I just log off of Zoom and then I go do Roblox. Right. And then when you come home from work, I tell you that I did it, but I just don't check, and I'm not even sure if I did it. Right? They just have a real conversation around these things. So they rank themselves and have conversations around the 4s too. And what you might notice, sometimes what I see a lot with students is the way that I see them is not the way they see themselves. Some students are much too hard on themselves, where it's like, well, I'd give you all 4s with a few 3s, and you're seeing a lot of 1s and 2s. Some students are way too easy on themselves. This is how they see themselves. Feel free to kind of have that conversation where Mom might respond and say, okay, you gave yourself a 1 here. Well, I actually see you as this. Or you gave yourself a 4, right? Saying that you produce quality projects, but then you told me earlier you don't do all your work. So what's going on there? Again, this is just all about having a conversation. So, okay, Mom, when it comes to being respectful, I don't make fun of other people, right? And you might say, why'd you give yourself a 3? Does that mean you made fun of somebody? And they might go, well, no. Okay, well, then maybe it should have been a 4. I make positive contributions. I don't really say anything. I don't really talk to anybody. So it's something I want to work on, but I'm always respectful, right? And I will say for this sixth grade class, the ones that I work with and Ms. Mendoza works with, there should be a lot of fours when it comes to respectful behavior because they are awesome and respectful kids. I've had very few issues and no issues with disrespect. So there should be a lot of fours on that one. Responsible, right? This is a big one. I ask for help when I need it. If they're giving themselves a one, talk about that. Okay. Watch the follow-on video. Like, how can they help themselves? How can they help you? So this is how I see myself when it comes to being safe. I see myself as this and that, and here's why. Okay. And then when you get to the end, so student goals and action plan. Now that you've prepared for your conference by reviewing your work samples and self-evaluation form, complete the worksheet to help prepare goals for the remainder of the year. Please complete the following document by answering all questions. Questions can be answered on the document by placing your cursor, yada, 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 yada. Basically, the whole concept is looking at yourself, academic, that means school-wise. What are your strengths? What are you good at? What could you improve on? Social behavior. What are you good at? What could you improve on? It's to just try to get them to see that they're good at things and that there are areas that they can improve in. Once you finish that, okay, you want to go through and answer this. So as the parent or guardian, what's an area of strength? What's an area of growth? And then set a couple goals to work toward next quarter. And then that's it. Now, for student-led conferences at the end, right, I just want to remind you of a couple things. One, this is not me monitoring you, okay, or trying to make more work for you. Okay, all I'm really asking is that you just try to have a conversation with your student. I know many of you do this every day, and so this might not be a 20-minute process because you do it every day. For some of you, you might have conflicting work schedules and things are going on. You haven't had a chance to talk about this, and your student's failing. Please try to invest as much time as you can in this process, but just know that I support the decision that you make as the family at home on how much of this you talk about, how long you spend on it. I'm going to trust you. I do trust you as adults to be the best parents that you can be to your student. So please don't think that I'm going to monitor or micromanage or whatever. But once you hold this, hopefully all the questions are answered. I'm going to send out a separate video along with this one, which is kind of like, okay, my student is struggling. What can I do to highlight some things for you as well? So I hope this video is helpful. Thanks for hanging in there with it. And thanks for supporting your students during distance learning. They've been totally awesome to work with in a situation that's definitely less than totally awesome. So thank you for your time. I hope this video is helpful and I appreciate it.